What is good, guys? It is your host, Mr. Ghost, with the Real Talk Podcast. Before we get into today's episode, guys, please hit that subscribe button, that bell notification, hit that like button. That lets the algorithm know you guys really like the content. And as always, comment down below. It is your voice that drives this show. It is greatly appreciated. We also love having the debate down there, but as always, be respectful. So the Minnesota fraud investigation is heating up. We're getting numbers about upwards of $8 billion. Omar as well as Waltz might have some knowledge to it. We're going to be touching that at a later episode. But in today's episode, we're going to be going over the interview with Steve Hilton, who is the gubernatorial candidate for the Republican Party for California. So if you go out to vote next year, definitely vote for him. Get Gavin Newsom out of power. Also, Bill Esselay, a U.S. attorney, is talking about the fraud that's happening out there. There is a lot with California that is going to be uncovered over the next few years with the amount of fraud happening within that state. That state is in a state of shambles. Anything that the Democrats touch, they destroy. California has not been in a good state within a decade and a half, and we're hoping that the era of accountability will happen. But we're going to be looking into this interview, so let's get into it, guys.
We already know California self-admitted that it used $50 million towards illegal immigrants that it was not allowed to. So we're looking at high-speed rail. We're looking at healthcare expenses. We're looking at other conduct by state officials. One thing we have not had in California for a long time is oversight. Because of the super Democrat party out here, there's been no oversight. There's been no checks or balances on the power. It's now here.
So there's renewed scrutiny now on the welfare system here in the Golden State of California. Congress opening that investigation into Minnesota. Governor Waltz's handling of several large-scale fraud cases, talking about $1 billion, maybe more. California gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton launching a tip line to report fraud cases. He tells the New York Post that whatever we're seeing in Minnesota is 1,000 times worse in California because of many more years of one-party rule by the Democrats. Let's get Steve Hilton to back that up. He joins me now live. And, sir, good morning to you. Good to be back in your state. I know you still love it here. 1,000 times is a lot. Where's that coming from?
It may even be an understatement, Bill. Great to be with you. Sorry I couldn't be with you in person. I'm doing a debate this morning up here in San Jose. Look, we've had 15 years of one-party rule. We were the first state, California, to have a statewide sanctuary law. Look at the fraud and abuse we already know about. $20 billion in the pandemic, the employment department sent to people on death row, prisons and jails, and criminal gangs internationally. $24 billion, the state auditor says, on homelessness spending that went straight into the pockets of cronies and connected nonprofits for the homeless industrial complex. As Bill Esselay was just alluding to there, officially now, $13 billion next year, Gavin Newsom is going to be spending on free healthcare for illegal immigrants. That's $57 billion that we know about. Think about the rest, the massive bloated size of our bureaucracy, nanny state, welfare state here in California. That's why I've launched califraud.com, because in Minnesota, we saw for years, honest, decent, brave civil servants were trying to blow the whistle on the abuse that was going on there. Tim Walz and the Democrat machine silenced them, harassed them, and tried to cover it all up. We mustn't let that happen here. So I'm calling on every civil servant, every state worker in California who may know of shenanigans that are going on to go to califraud.com, anonymously tell us so that we know what's going on, so that when I'm governor, we can root it out and save taxpayers' money.
All right, we'll see what you come up with on that. There's a couple other topics I want to get to. I've been out here twice in the last couple of weeks. It is a stunning thing for me to drive through the Pacific Palisades and then through Malibu for many, many miles. And so our viewers at home who have not been out here, the destruction from these fires is extensive. And the state's doing its best to try and recover. And it's been a very slow process. Last January, here is Gavin Newsom on NBC and said this about the effort in California. Watch.
We're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team of looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast, people here that were ravaged by this disaster.
Okay, so after that, President Trump came to California. And yesterday, Gavin Newsom was in Washington, D.C. He said in January, real Donald Trump looked me in the eye on the tarmac, promising Angelenos that he'd help rebuild after the firestorms. 11 months later, he still hasn't delivered. That's why I'm headed to D.C. to push for a long overdue federal aid package for survivors. Will California get that, Steve? How do you see it?
I'm sorry, Bill, but the level of lying and gaslighting now from Gavin Newsom is beyond a joke. It is disgusting. It is an insult to everyone who lost anything in the Palisades fire and the Altadena fire, because look at what he said there. You played the video. He said Gavin Newsom, not Donald Trump, Gavin Newsom would be organizing a Marshall Plan to rebuild LA. I was in the Palisades yesterday afternoon. We went to the first house that they touted as being rebuilt after the fires. Turns out it was permitted before the fires. It's not even a real home. It's a show home. And look at what's actually been happening on the ground in the Palisades. It's actually the president and his team who've done the job. The Army Corps of Engineers cleaning the toxic waste. Lee Zeldin and his team from the EPA. They did their job in record time. The federal government did its part. It's California, the feckless governor, the useless mayor who've done nothing practically to deliver on the promises they made. That's why we're going to kick them out next year, Bill. We're sick of all this.
I know you won his job. We'll see how that election goes. In the meantime, we'll see what he gets from Washington from this trip to our nation's capital. Steve Hilton, thank you for your time. We'll continue to track it. Appreciate you coming on today.
There's a lot in that video that we could unravel. But when it comes to the fraud in that state, we will touch that at a later date, because there is so much going on and there's so much that has to be brought to light before I even want to touch it. Because I already know about the high-speed rail. I already know about the programs when it comes to homelessness. I already know about stuff like that. I don't have the knowledge of the rest. When it comes to welfare, when it comes to the voter system, all that I have no knowledge of yet. We're doing some digging. But when it comes to rebuilding Los Angeles after the Eaton and Palisades fire, I could touch that a little bit, okay? For Gavin Newsom to go on television and point the finger at Donald J. Trump like it's his fault that LA's not being built fast enough is disingenuous. It really is. Because any human being that has ever faced a natural disaster, even if it's not like on a major level, if you had a house fire, people know it takes up to 2 years to rebuild one single home, okay? I do know there's a village about 50 minutes from us. They had a major fire a few years ago on their main street. They lost like 4 or 5 buildings. They're still vacant. I have a neighbor down the street who her house caught fire 2 years ago and is still sitting vacant. So you have 17,000 properties that need to be rebuilt. It's not going to happen overnight, because you've got to go through the permit process. You've got to get the proper engineers, the proper architects to draw up the designs for the new homes. They got to follow new permits, a lot stricter codes. Things are different in LA, as well as California in general, with all these wildfires. So it's very disingenuous for the governor of that state, who's done nothing but drive that state into debt, okay? And they haven't had a good governor since the Terminator was in charge, and he did a really good damn job. That's why I'm hoping, Steve Hilton wins, because California needs a governor for the people, not just of one-sided. But a lot of this red tape is on the Democrats. The Democrats got to stop blaming the Republicans and the other side for their own issues. Okay? California is literally run by the Democrats. They only have 9 Republicans within the House of Representatives. So any red tape, any backlog is on them. Okay, and prior to the fires, Los Angeles already had a backlog of permits that had to be released. So you add 17,000 properties to that list, it's going to take a little while. Gavin Newsom needs to step up, okay, and be honest with his people. He didn't tell the people that the government already released $2.7 billion. Oh, no, he didn't want to tell them that. He wants to live on this notion that the government sent no money, and he has to go to Washington, D.C. to be the hero of the people. He is a joke. He wants to be president someday. And I swear the day we elect an idiot like that in charge, this country is doomed. This guy is best off as an actor, being for real with you. You know what I'm saying? That or one of those guys that know how to do the sign language, and sign language interpreter. You know what I'm saying? Because he's very good with his hand gestures. There's a lot of issues in California when it comes to these natural disasters, and it falls on the head of the governor, not the president. The governors are in charge of the state. There's a lot of questions with the LA fires that are still unanswered. Why was the hydrants drying out? Like, I get a fire that size, it could happen very quickly. But where's the water? There's a lot of red flags with California, and I'm hoping all that comes to light through these investigations and we start holding people accountable. But you, the people, got to start paying attention to what your political leaders are telling you and do your own research. Use common sense. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that 17,000 properties are not going to be built overnight or within a year's time. It could take up to a decade to rebuild those two communities. So Gavin Newsom needs to put on his big boy pants and start acting like an adult. Stop acting like some kind of high school punk, popular student and picking a fight with the president of the United States. Because the one thing I'm going to tell you, I don't agree with everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, but he's a man of his word. He loves his people. He loves this country. Regardless of what, even if you hate him, he's going to love you. Okay? But he's not one that is going to go down easily within a fight. I could tell you that right now. The Democrats have literally tried everything in their arsenal to bring this guy down, and nothing works. He's Teflon Don. That's exactly how I want to call him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this guy's a saint, but the guy knows what he's doing. So maybe the way we can fix this is for the California government to back out of the way and let's let Trump come in. But they don't want that, though. You know what I'm saying? They don't want Trump to be the hero. As I said, an asteroid can hit this planet, and I can promise you the Democrats will find a way to spin it and blame Donald Trump for it. Okay? Now, should the president criticize him at the beginning of the fires? Not really. But Donald Trump is Donald Trump. He's always going to speak his mind. This guy does not have a filter. Okay? I am a nobody right now, okay? When it comes to what I've been doing. I'm slowly growing, but he's not going to listen to me. He's not going to listen to some of the bigger names out there, okay? It's going to take Jesus himself to come down and literally talk to this guy to tell him, hey, shut your mouth sometimes. But Donald Trump's going to be Donald Trump. He's always been this way. He's a showman. You know what I'm saying? He's always been built for entertainment. But the one thing I will always say, he loves this country. He wants this country to do better. He wants this country to be successful. And he wants to put America first. So Gavin, listen, I'm not going to even use your nickname that people use because to me that's just low. Even though it fits the narrative. Be a man. Be a leader. Okay? God elevated you to a point of leadership and lead your people. Stop belittling them. Stop gaslighting people and actually do your damn job. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if not, another man can take your place and probably do 10 times better than you. With that being said, guys, don't forget to vote. If you're watching this out in California, vote for Mr. Steve Hilton. Put somebody in charge of your state that truly cares for you, that wants your state to do good, wants your state to excel. Stop voting on people that just talk the talk. Okay? Anybody can talk a good talk. The mustache man did really good at talking with people. But when he had to go walk the walk, it was filled with darkness. Okay? You got to learn how to vote for the right people. You know what I'm saying? Your actions mean more than anything else. So if you got a politician out there that's promising A, B, C, and D, and they're doing jack, you got to vote them out. Okay? Got to vote them out. Let me know down below your take on the LA fires, and do you think Trump is really responsible? Do you think Gavin Newsom is responsible? What is your take on it, guys? I want to hear from you guys. And as always, be respectful down in the comments. And I'm going to catch you guys in the next episode. I yield the floor. Have a good night, y'all.